Hello guys, welcome back to another video in the ReactJS beginner tutorial series. In this video, we are going to discuss about how to implement states in our project. So if you look at it here, I have created one new app.js file for our references for this specific video, and I have started the project and it is working as expected. Now what are we going to do is, I'm going to use a hook method, use state in this specific component and we'll work on it. I have imported other CSS files. We don't need that as of now. If anything required, I will be doing that respectively. So first and foremost, what I do is, within this welcome to React application, I'm going to create one text box and the button. Okay, so input type just to the text box, and I'll be having some ID. Let it be the ID as username, nothing specific, and then I'll be having a button. It's just to the button, nothing fancy or anything, just to the button. Okay, and then here I'll be having register. So what am I going to do is, whatever the data that I'm entering within this form, right? I mean within this form, that's supposed to be there in the form. Even if I click on the register text, whatever the data that I have it in the text, that gone. Why it actually gone? Because that the page that's refreshed, at the time the page refreshed, the text box is actually empty, and we haven't provided any instruction to React that please hold the state of the text box. That we haven't done. So this is how we will be using states. So states helps you to maintain state of the element or the component within the component, not outside, within the component. Okay, the same scenario happen even if you put everything within a form. I don't want action. Okay, and I'll having a button. I will call this as a type submit, as we all know that submit is the button type when it comes within a form. Let's introduce use state. So use state is nothing but we don't need this either. Let me clear up index.js because it is having some references, it seems. No, we don't have. Okay, let's have import React. Import use state is a hook method. So let's import that. Okay, this use state hook method I imported from React library. Now I'll be using this use state within the component. So how can I use it? As I said in the previous video, constant, it will give me some data, right? Let's have an array. Array's first element is nothing but the text, whatever the text that we have in the text box. And then I'll be having one method that helps me to change the data of the text box. So set text. Where does this value come from? This value is actually coming from use state. This use state is a hook method. Default value for this use state method is empty text. That's it. Okay, now how am I going to use this? That's where events comes into the picture. We know that how to handle event within the component, but here we'll be having little bit extra. Within this text box, whenever I'm doing some on change means whenever the state of the text box changes, I will invoke a function that's again an ordinary function. Okay, this function internally helps me to set the text box value to the state. How will I do that? I have a text method. This method helps me to do so. e.target.value. This is the property that helps me to get the text box value, and that will be available in the state now. Okay, this is clear. Whenever the text box changes, the value of the text box actually passes to this method. Whenever there is a change in this method, that will eventually update the state variable. Where is the state variable? Text is the state variable. Using this variable, I can access the value that present in the text box. So now all good so far. As I said, I'll be having a value property, and this value property contains text. That's all. Okay, now if I write something, let's say I'm having Gopi, and I'm clicking on register, you can see it's actually vanished. Why does that happen? I said use state helps me to do so. Let's check that. Here I'm having you on change, right? So let's something like this. So here what am I doing is within here console.log of whatever the text box value, whatever the state value that updates. Okay, I'm trying to do so console.log of text, right? And why does the value vanish? Because the default functionality for the form is to submit the text box to the server, submit the form to the server, and that's what happened here. What I do is I'll be having one more event here saying that submit. Okay, on submit is the event that will having a submit handler function. I'll be creating one function, okay, outside this return statement. The function, this is going to be an arrow function. Okay, this function gets an event. This will be passed by default by React. We don't have to do anything with that. That will handle by the JavaScript. Okay, first what I do is prevent default. So this is nothing but prevent, not prevent. Prevent default. So what actually this does is this stops the default behavior of the form. That's it. Okay, this is the first step. Once this is done, what I do is I'll be just printing console.log of whatever the text box value I'm having in the state. That's all. I don't want anything else apart from that. This is done. Let me shrink the size of the browser so that you can see the terminal. I'm focusing on that. Let me type my name, Gopi. Okay, and clicking on register button, and I will be opening the inspect. I forgot to open the inspect, so let me clear it out. So here you can see, let me remove. Okay, let me remove. It's empty form now. I'll be just typing my name, Gopi. You can see, right? Gopi. And then if I click on register, you can see I've got the latest value. So this is how we'll be getting. If I refresh, the form is refreshed. Of course, once it is refreshed, the value got vanished out of the state because the default value for the state is empty. So this is how it works. So before the form vanished, we try to capture all the data. So whatever the API call you are sending, whatever the content you are getting out, everything will be there forever. And that's what the state is all about. And we can do a lot of work within the state and all. As of now, we are just starting with that, right? I think this is fine. Next, what we will be doing is maybe in the next video, we'll be creating a form, and that form we try to have some couple of field values and try to capture that field values and try to print that up in the screen. So let's see how does that is happening. That's what the state is. In the real world, that's how we will be handling. But here, for the sake of example and starting with the state, I just have this concise example with only one text box. Okay, I hope this is clear. We can connect in the next session. Then we'll be having even more hands-on with the states with the help of form. That's all for this video. Let's catch up in the next video. Till then, bye. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribe to the channel. We'll connect again in the next video. Till then, bye. Take care.